Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining me. This is the Dr. Sophia Rothschild Show, and I'm a Doctor of Social Science and History, Economics, and Political Theology, and I'm a rabbi that does believe in rational thought, okay, and also a PhD in experimental physics. Today, the question is, does the Bible support chattel slavery? Well, it's a very loaded, very remarkable question. So, well, let's look at the evidence. And the evidence we have here today, this is the new, this is the new Oxford Annotated Bible, right edition with the Oxford. And let's go with this one. Go to Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 44. And these are the exact words. And this is from the Oxford, the new Oxford Annotated Bible. And this is Leviticus 25, this is verse 44. It says, as for the male and female slave whom you may have is from the nations around you that you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from among the aliens residing with you and from the families that are with you who have been born in your land, and they may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. Okay? These you may treat as slaves, but for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other with harshness. So right there in this section, it's clearly talking about owning people as property, passing on inheritance, you about acquiring them from your surrounding nations around you. Okay, pretty straightforward there. Let's deal with words here. Exodus. This is Exodus chapter 21. Okay, yes, chapter 21. And let's look at verse 20. It says here, when the slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies, immediately the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there shall be no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property. Hmm. Hmm. The facts are there. The Bible does support the idea of owning people as property, passing them on inheritance, so beating them, and if they don't die within 3 days, no punishment. Because, as it states, the slave is the master's property. This was also a key feature in the mid-Atlantic slave trade. So I think if you're going to be honest, the Bible does support chattel slavery. Okay, on there. This one over here, this is the Arch Scroll. This is the Jewish Bible. This is the Art Scroll Tanakh, and this is a Stone edition. And this is the Art Scroll Tanakh Stone edition. And over here we have the Hebrew, and over here the English, and on the bottom we have the commentaries of Rashi, Rambam, Radak, and etc. etc. So what does this one say? Let's go there. Now, in our Jewish tradition, we do have in the books in something called a parasha. like the parasha, Mishpatim, etc., etc., etc. Not so much chapters. But then again, here for your convenience, this is Exodus chapter 21. We come down to chapter 20, verse 20. And it says here, if a man shall strike his slave or his maidservant with a rod, and he shall die under his hand, he shall surely be avenged. But if he will survive for a day or two, he shall not be avenged, for his is property. Sorry, it does support chattel slavery. And over here, they're not convinced. This one is over here. This is the parasha Bihar, and this is one of the verse. This is chapter 25 and verse 34. And over here it says, right here, your slave or your maidservant with whom you own, from the Gentiles who surround you, from among them you may purchase a slave or a maidservant. Also from among the children of the residents who live with you, from among them you may purchase from their families and is with you, whom they begot in your land, and they shall remain yours as an ancestral heritage. You shall hold them as heritage for your children after you to inherit as a possession. You shall work them forever. But for your brethren, children of Israel, a man with his brother, you shall not subjugate him to hard labor. So, yes, unfortunately, the Bible does support chattel slavery. Now, some people might want to put it up, make it look nice and pretty, but that's the understand the Bible was written by people from the Middle Eastern era mostly, and they had a certain culture and tradition, which include slavery. Also, they lived in a period that was not as scientifically advanced as today. So obviously, the Bible reflects the people who wrote it and from the culture they came. Right? So you flee only people's property, pass them on inheritance, and beating them. And it, that's a fact. That's even the plain text right there. If you're honest with yourself, you have to admit that yes, the Bible supports chattel slavery. Okay, thank you so much, everybody.